Hey there, it's Craig, and it's May. You know what that means. Summertime is approaching. So, yeah, we have to have a talk, seriously. Today's show title, Should You Get a Summer Job? Let's talk about that after the intro. I was an engineer, and in 2008, lost my job due to the economic collapse. Jobs were scarce. I didn't know where to turn to get help updating my resume. Online services and coaches charge hundreds, even thousands of dollars. I took matters into my own hands and learned how to craft interview-winning resumes. Shortly later, I landed a job with a Fortune 500 company. I have helped many achieve similar success. Now I share my tips to create interview-winning resumes, interviewing excellence, and high-performance growth strategies on my podcast, Career Growth Made Easy. Hey there, and welcome back to the Career Growth Made Easy podcast. I'm your host, Craig Ansell. You know, our last episode was talking about internships, and it simply was titled, Are Internships Worth It? I don't know. That's up to you, each individual listener. If you're interested in to find out more about what internships are and if they're worth it to you, go back and listen to episode 152. It's just a click away. But that leads us into May, which now we're right around the cusp of summertime. And in the intro, I asked you the hard question, should you get a summer job? And that's also today's show title. So I ask you, should you get a summer job? I don't know. What's the difference between an internship and a summer job? Well, internships typically, but not always, are offered to students, and they're typically during the school year. So that leads us into the summertime and thinking about summer jobs or seasonal jobs. You know, one way to look at a summer job, and you might be going, ugh, I was hoping we didn't have to talk about that. Or do I have to hear it from you also, Craig? I'm hearing it from everybody. Yeah, I know, but it's a necessary evil. Think about a summer job as a warm-up. Just like if you're involved in any sports or before you take a test or an exam, you've got to kind of rehearse, do your homework and study, get ready, get prepped for that exam. The summer job that you might take on could be a warm-up. It could be the trial for a full-time job. Now, that might sound funny to you, thinking, yeah, but it's a lot of work. Well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. In a way, it's kind of like the interning discussion we had earlier, but with regards to the job, you're finding yourself. Unless you know that you want to do that job the rest of your life, if it's going to be your full-time career decision and full-time career goal, that's what you love to do, and that's what you can't wait to do, then it's a trial period. You're working somewhere or, interviewing for the opportunity to work somewhere part-time, just to warm up and see where you stand. Then, if it really works, you might be considered back for another time of year, right? During a seasonal time period, such as the winter season, the Christmas season, or depending where you are with school or your work-life situation, you might be able to come back on a recurring basis and help out even part-time. The big thing, though, about jobs, yes, you should be aligned with them, and I think interested, because I use a statement frequently, and I'll tell you right now what it is. If you find a job you love, you'll never work a day in your life. Okay, really, you are working. Yes, you're performing tasks, you're performing procedures and work for others. But if you enjoy it, it won't feel so bad. It'll kind of make the day go faster. You'll enjoy what you do. You'll be happy to be productive and contributing to the company and to your end customer. So that goes back to that. If you enjoy what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. Why do I focus on some of those key phrases and, unique statements out there? Because they're really helpful when you're looking for a part-time job or a summer job, a seasonal job. You've got to try a couple. Summer's only 2 or 3 months long before you go back to school. If, you're in high school or college or, you're doing some part-time education, try out a new role. Well, I got froggy there. Try out a new role and see where you're at. Say, you know what? I never was interested in this. I'm going to apply myself, work really hard and see if it's something that I might want to learn more about or, become interested in and possibly pursue a career in this field. So that gives you the opportunity to explore. Now that we've covered that, while you're exploring, not only in the in the job interview period, but when you're working, you're also networking. You might meet new, interesting customers, have the opportunity to share social media information or business cards if you have one. Also, networking within your company, with your peers, your coworkers. You never know who you might meet. You never know what opportunities could come around for you. And also, with summer jobs, they're typically part-time. Some do, though, have full-time hours. The reason for this oftentimes is that some of the staff members have taken a longer vacation during the summer, or they've traveled home if they're in school, and the facility needs temporary placement. So you might have the opportunity to work close to full-time hours. But you have to decide. Are you willing, ready, and able to take a break, let's say, from schooling and go right into full-time work? Or is that simply going to be too much for you? These are decisions that are important to make to determine, should you get a summertime job? And number two, specifically, should you get or apply for that summertime job? All right. Now that we've talked about, networking, it's a warm-up with regards to the job and learning what you might want to do for a full-time job or, into your career settings as you get older. The cool part about summertime jobs, seasonal jobs, is that this is a great time to get some experience putting a resume together. Drat, Craig said resume. Yes, I talk about resumes a lot. I have a lot of career growth coaching advice on my shows about resumes. I also have a great resume masterclass that you can download and take at your own pace to help you build your own resume. It takes all the pain out of it, answers your questions, and gives you the tips and techniques you need to be successful when putting a resume together. But if you don't have data, if you don't have information, if you don't have value, you can't put one together. You need to start somewhere. So this is a good place with a seasonal job or a summer job to get some first-time resume information loaded in. Now, if you have any type of formal schooling, high school, college, or beyond, trade schools, what have you, this would be a great time to list your educational background. And if you have a strong GPA, I'd say anything over a 3, about 3.0, I might want to list that on the resume. That draws attention to you, being that you're a stronger student, stronger in your academia. But then also, were you involved in any extracurricular activities? So as you start to build out your resume, wondering, how am I going to get this one sheet of paper filled out without just stretching the words and just, putting in content that's not valuable? How am I going to do it? Any types of extracurricular activities you've been involved in, any type of activities you've been involved in your community, volunteering, donating your time, these are all areas you can add to your resume. But the focus here is talking about your summertime job. The cool part is you get exposure. You get to put down content on your resume for work hours, and you get to talk about the value that you provided that company. If you've listened to my other shows on resumes, I use a particular phrase when you filled those out. It's called WIIFM, what's in it for me. Always think about, when you're working these summertime or seasonal jobs, what's in it for me, not in your wallet, but from the standpoint of the person that hired you, the company owner, your boss. What's in it for them? If you truly are a dedicated and hardworking individual, albeit for a seasonal or part-time job during the summer, you want to give it your all. You want to stand out. That gives you some really great opportunities to build rapport with that company. If it's a smaller company, the person, if it's a smaller company, the person that hired you could also be the owner. With that said, building that great rapport with someone can allow you to have the ability to return for a seasonal job next year. Or, depending on what your availability is and the store's needs, we're talking about summer jobs. What about wintertime? What about over Thanksgiving and Christmas? You might have an opportunity to be called back or check in on them. It all depends on how connected you are with that position and how well you get along with the rest of the staff and the owner. You might want to continue to work for them outside of a summer or seasonal job and expand it from part-time to full-time if they have that ability. But also, Working summertime jobs gives you the ability to gain references. That way, as you start to build experience, you can ask management and owners of companies that you've worked for, may I please use you as a reference? I'm starting to build up my resume for my professional career, and I'd like to reference that I've worked here, and, could I put your contact information down? So summertime jobs in themselves don't sound so valuable. It just sounds like, ugh, just taking away from my summer break, and I'm working somewhere yet again. But there's a lot of value in it, just like internships I mentioned earlier, but for a different reason. Now, with regards to the summertime job, even minimum wages can add up over the summer, right? If you apply yourself and work closer to the full-time limit, your wages can add up, and you get valuable experience regardless of what you're doing. Now, if you take in your first summertime job or seasonal job and you realize this isn't for me, are you willing to hold out? Are you willing to stick it in and go for that full season just to get through it? Kind of, you made a commitment and you're going to stay? Or is it a really toxic and negative environment that you're in because the interview was one thing, but being in the position is another, and you really don't feel like you're a good fit, you really feel concerned for yourself, your well-being, then yeah, it might be time to take a break from that company and look for another seasonal job or summertime job. But if it's not that, and it's just not something that you feel you want to do long term, ask yourself deeply, truly, can I continue to do this job for the next few weeks or month or two just to get over and be committed to this job, to this company, because I know they had a hard time hiring people. I took my time, I set my resume up, I interviewed, and I'm in. Can I stay here and be dedicated for this period of time? You never know if a position will open up that I might like more, or there be something else different to do, a different job, a different task, a different scope of work that will allow you to branch out and find different ways to work in this company versus the position you're in. Now, there is one caveat. If you don't like your job at a company, what I just shared with you could work. Switching jobs within the company, finding other roles, other responsibilities that are open, other tasks and assignments. But if it's culture-based, if it is environment-based and it's a negative environment, if it's a toxic environment, that is not going to change switching jobs typically within a company. And that might give you the reasoning for you to kind of cut the cord on that and just realize it was a mistake, or your values, your morals are not aligned with what's going on at this company. So summertime jobs, seasonal jobs, are they worth it, and should you get one? You ultimately will have to decide. But with some of the benefits I mentioned, giving you a warm-up, getting you a trial run, working towards a full-time job can be one benefit. Another is networking. Networking with your staff, your peers, your colleagues around you, but then also customers. If you're a customer-facing role, that is a great opportunity to get your name out there, do service with a smile, serve your customers with a pleasant, warm attitude, going above and beyond, trying to predict their needs. They'll appreciate that. We're all human and we appreciate being served, especially if we're in a service type environment. And so that's something for you. If you really excel at that, I think you'll be noticed quickly. Then also figure out the duration of summertime work you want. Will it be part-time or closer to full-time? This information I'm sharing with you is again valuable to put on your resume. From your education to your summertime jobs. It's okay that they're seasonal. It really is. Employers will understand that, and honestly, they would rather see that than gaps in your resume, truth be told. Plus, if you build a good rapport with your existing company during the summer, they might ask you back the following year, so you've already got something lined up, one more box checked off you don't have to worry about. Or there could be an opportunity for some fill-in work during the school year if somebody's out sick or travels, as well as during the winter time when it's another time for the break period, right? All that said, your money adds up, especially if you're able to save during your summer. And any experience is good experience. It will either drive you toward or away from what you're looking to do in your career. Now, I briefly mentioned earlier about gaps in your resume or gaps in your employment and filling them on your resume. Our next show is going to talk specifically about that. Number 154, how to explain unemployment gaps. So if you have some and you're concerned, don't forget to tune in to next week's show and subscribe right now. I hope you've enjoyed today's show should you get a summer job. I've listed some of the pros and some of the cons. You have to ultimately decide what it's worth to you and if you're a good fit or not for that particular job. I think it's worth it because there's a lot of firsts, possibly first jobs, building your networking, possibly building your resume, building rapport with staff as well as with customers, but you have to decide. I've really appreciated sharing this information with you, and thank you for being one of my valuable listeners on the Career Growth Made Easy show. If you've enjoyed today's show, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts or your favorite player. We check them all out, and we strive to serve. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss another free episode on Career Growth Made Easy coming out next Monday. I've been your host, Craig Ansell. Have a great week ahead, and God bless. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to our channel. New episodes every Monday. In the meantime, why don't you follow us on social media at Craig Ansell on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. To book a coaching appointment, download our free guides, or join our email list, check out the links in the description below.